Hello and welcome to Nice and Blunt. I'm Adam Mariancho. Today is Monday, May 12th at 3:30 p.m. Time for another live stream mock draft on Underdog. Let us begin. All right, here we are. And hello, Vader. Nice to see you, man. Looks like you had a question. Who's your most drafted player as of right now? Since it's just the beginning of the stream, if you're coming in later and you're not skipping with the timestamps, if you're here now, you get to see behind the curtain a little bit. These are my completed drafts. I did finish all 20 entries on the Schnauzer, and so far we've done 4 puppies, so 24 so far. And let's see. Currently, it would be DeAndre Swift. I'm not convinced as of today, if I started right now, DeAndre Swift would be my number one guy, but he was one of the biggest winners after the draft, and his ADP has moved up like, I want to say like 30 spots. I'm pretty sure right when the draft was over, when these tournaments started, Swift had an ADP of like 122. So he has moved up actually 40 spots, and I was taking him for like the first couple of days around 110, 115, and then I was quickly taking him in the 100s, and then I was even taking him on the long turn around like pick 90. Now that he's going in round 7, I can take him, I can leave him, depends on my build. I don't necessarily need him, but I'm glad I got a bunch of Swift before his price significantly inflated. So that is my highest drafted player. I also have somebody going the round right after him in Darnell Mooney at a very high rate. He's my number one receiver. Trey Harris, the round after that, one of my favorite picks. And then the player who I'm probably going to stake my claim on this season is Davante Adams. I think Davante Adams is one of the best round 3 picks you can find. Let me move this over a little bit. I just realized my head is kind of blocking some of the info. But Davante Adams at number 4, one of the players I'm targeting the most. I also have Trey Harris in the top 4, Mooney very high, and then Swift. So usually my most drafted player is going to be like one of the best values going a bit later, but Adams going in the 3rd round, definitely a player I'm targeting. I am never afraid to click Adams anywhere in the 3rd round. I think he should be going in round 2. So that's probably my favorite pick. And then let's just show quarterback. I do stack him with Stafford like crazy. I've drafted a lot of A-Chain, and the price on Tua is really cheap right now, so I'm willing to take Tua. These are inexpensive players, my boy Herbert. But then in round 4, that 3-4 turn, I do take Lamar a decent amount. I have been taking Lamar above Josh Allen at a high rate. So that's quarterback for you. Tight end is David Njoku, Kincaid, Mason Taylor. I have taken some Kyle Pitts as a backup. And then if you've watched the stream, you have seen Ben Sinnott, one of my favorite round 18 selections. I also think the price on Kittle going in round 5 is excellent. Those are my most drafted players. But now that we got that out of the way, we will be hopping into our first draft of the day. So let's pull up the NFL tab. It's not coordinating, so we got to scroll all the way over. We're doing a puppy. I mentioned I filled out all 20 of my schnauzers. Today, we are shifting to the puppy. And until this tournament fills, I'm probably not going to max out the entries. So on the stream, we will be doing puppies for the foreseeable future. I might filter in a Best Ball Mania, but if I do, it'll be the first draft of the video. Today, we're starting with a puppy. I'm on about a 10-second delay. So if you want to join me, it's going to be the 20-second pick clock. And hit that button right now. I will be joining you very shortly. A reminder, it is 3 wide receivers in your starting lineup, and that does push that position up. I am hopping in right now. And there are 2 spots left. If you want one of these picks, you can come get it. And if not, you just want to watch, that's what you're welcome to do as well. So I'm going to start pretty shortly. Not too long of a wait, hopefully. But we are in the puppy. 1 spot left, $5, 20-second pick clock. Take it if you want it. This lobby's full. We get pick 7. And I feel like I've drafted at this selection a few times. I'm starting to actually like the middle. a little bit more. While I'd much rather have pick 6 than pick 7, I do think when you're in the center here, you can get good falling values. And based on ADP, you can have a very random team where, starting in the round 3 and after, you start pulling from both sides of the board. There are teams that usually don't exist unless they happen to fall in the middle. And you may get the best value in one round, and then coming back all the way in the next round, you might also have the player you were considering with that pick originally. If it had not been for the falling value, maybe they fell as well. So you can play the board a little bit extra. Hopefully we can manipulate some other teams here and find ourselves with a satisfying roster at the end of the day. But this draft is underway. Ja'Marr Chase at number 1. No time is wasted with pick 1. Saquon at number 2, pretty typical. If we get a value on running back, I will take running back. If not, I'll just grab a receiver. Should I go Puka, Neighbors, or St. Brown? I think those are the best receivers, all kind of mirroring each other in terms of value. At pick 7, once Gibbs is off the board, that's where I pivot to. So we're either getting Gibbs if he falls to pick 7. If not, we have a decision at receiver. Maybe I just take Puka. Maybe I just stick with ADP. Although I'm kind of so on board with Devontae Adams that I'm starting to think Puka may not be as valuable as this ADP would suggest. Not that he's like a bad pick. I just kind of feel like maybe I'd rather have St. Brown or Neighbors over Puka because I really envision a very good season for Adams. But with that being said, we do select Jahmyr Gibbs, and he does fall to us at number 7. Gibbs is so safe. Very, very safe pick, locked into a high floor, unless he goes down, which you can say about everyone. Worst case scenario, Gibbs is like running back 7. And obviously, best case scenario, we saw that when Montgomery went down, he was the best running back in the fantasy playoffs overall. So really stud production from him. And with the new offensive coordinator, Dave Montgomery, now 28 years old, some injuries have piled up. I do envision the role for Gibbs to be expanded this season. I do think it's absolutely worth it this high. So we do take Gibbs, and hopefully his role in the passing game, that's what I want to expand the most. I trust him with the ball in his hands, super fast, excellent player. Also, great O-line, and Dan Campbell's identity will be running the ball until he gets fired. So love Jahmyr Gibbs. Looks like y'all do too. Not pissing anyone off with this pick. And I'm starting to buy into Neighbors a little bit more just because Jackson Dart is going to rely on him heavily. But Neighbors, if Gibbs not there, Gibbs was there. So we do go Gibbs. And we're on the clock once again. And Derrick Henry falls. Derrick Henry's in the thumbnail. We're at pick 18. He falls 4 picks. Let's go double running back again. The running back position has been pumped up this year in the ADP. And at the very least, we're going to figure out how can we make this team work by ignoring receiver for a little while. At least the first 2 rounds, we go running back, Jahmyr Gibbs, Derrick Henry. I feel like if I let the team with Lamb have a shot at Derrick Henry, I would regret that. Henry, as long as he stays healthy, will also be like worst case scenario, running back 7, running back 8. So very comfortable with this start. I am a believer in Henry, not afraid to take him. I think he should be going in round 2. But Mr. Grapefruit says love Gibbs. He's got that big week 17 upside with their dome and fast-paced offense in general. They'll be fine without Ben Johnson. I think they might rely on him more without Ben Johnson. I think if there's a player who's going to lose value the most because of the loss of Ben Johnson, it would be Jameson Williams. I think they're going to, rely on the bread and butter of St. Brown. If Laporta stays healthy, he probably has, at worst, a repeat of last season. Jamo, with his, flashy upside and speed, he catches so many deep balls. If that doesn't happen any given week, Jamo can disappear. And I kind of feel like Ben Johnson was using Jameson Williams a little bit to really get GMs across the league with open coaching vacancies that much more interested. Like, wow, if we can have a coach that untaps someone like Jameson Williams and pops off these 60, 70-yard receiving touchdowns every week, that is really something that benefits us. So I kind of feel like JMO was a bit like of a pawn of Ben Johnson, and given Ben Johnson's gone, I could see his role diminish a little bit more. It's probably going to take a step back compared to last season. There's also the threat of Jameson Williams getting suspended at any point in time based on PEDs or just reckless decisions. He's probably going to get fined for some celebrations once again. But we did mention Davante Adams earlier, and like I said, I am not going to hesitate. I am not drafting Rashee Rice above Davante Adams. You guys can do that. I am not going to do that at all. I really disagree with that. I do not trust the Chiefs' target share this season. My preference is Xavier Worthy, and as Rashee Rice has moved up above him, I am not upset about that at all. I will happily take Xavier Worthy instead in round 4 as opposed to Rashee Rice in round 3. I do not believe in Rashee Rice having the same role, being the same athlete. I can obviously be wrong, but I'm going to trust Sean McVay, Matthew Stafford, and Davante Adams at pick 31 more than the random distribution of targets in Kansas City. Any given week, a single player in Kansas City's offense can pop off with all the catches, all the yards. It can be anyone else the following week. I don't see much of a difference between Rice and Worthy. So if this team passes on Worthy, we will take Xavier Worthy. I'd much rather have Worthy than DJ Moore, but we do not get a shot at Worthy. Should we go Jaden Daniels or a receiver? I think I'm going to go Devontae Smith. I trust Devontae a little bit over DJ Moore, and I have seen Jalen Hurts falling considerably lately, so that gives us a crack at Jalen Hurts at pick 55. So that's why I go Davante Adams. You can definitely go Jaden Daniels, and I don't fault you at all for it. But given we went running back in the first 2 rounds, I'm not going to pass on this caliber of receiver here in round 4. I think there's a big tier break beyond players like Devontae Smith and Cortland Sutton, and they will not make it back to me in the next round. So have to go receiver, even though the value on Daniels was pretty good. But let's check the chat. Mr. Grapefruit with some pushback. Like to see it. Grapefruit disagrees. Says Rice over Worthy, and Rice likely won't have this trial this year before the season. I'm not so worried about the trial and any suspension that looms because of that car accident last season. That's really not my big concern with Rashee Rice. I just think last year, before Xavier Worthy was a thing, Rashee Rice was just unquestioned the top target. There was really no threat. Even Kelsey, I can argue, is not really that big of a threat anymore in this passing game in Kansas City. Kelsey's on his way out. But Marquise Hollywood Brown was also injured completely, not available at all. And Worthy didn't come on until Rice left the offense. And I just don't see them being that loyal to him where they're going to put him head and shoulders above Worthy. So they're kind of going in the same range. Rice at 32, Worthy at 41. That's not actually that big of a gap. But because I don't see a big change between them, that's why I'd rather just take Worthy. But obviously on Underdog, if you want to set up that Chiefs stack, if you believe the Chiefs will bounce back as Bader does, then yeah, go ahead and do that. I have been really ignoring the Chiefs offense other than Pacheco in my drafts. But we're about to be on the clock. Let's see who's available. If Ridley is not sniped, I will go Calvin Ridley. We do not get Jalen Hurts. That's a bummer. We also don't get Ridley. He gets sniped again. Shit. Not what you want to see. This is sad. I think I might just let Joe Mixon time out and take him. Nah, we'll go Waddle. I don't see the point in... We've done this before where we go 3 running backs in the first 5 and Joe Mixon's our third. It's fine. I don't hate it, but I don't think it's critical. And I'm willing to go Waddle, but I really wanted Ridley there. That is unfortunate. We do not get Hurts. We do not get Ridley. We have no reason to take Burrow. That's a little sad. I wish the team with Chase Brown had taken Joe Burrow. It did not happen. But let's scroll up a little bit, show you more of the board as we come around this turn here. A little run on running back here in round 5. I kind of don't understand the massive hype on RJ Harvey. Like, I think it's going a little overboard for my taste. Like, I kind of get it, but I think I'd personally still rather have TreVeyon Henderson. That's just my take, but it's a bummer you have to pay this high of a price on RJ Harvey. Anyways, Mr. Grapefruit says, it took a while for Worthy to break out because he was a rookie, but I agree him and Rice are about neck and neck for ADP. Vader's asking, do you think Isaiah Pacheco goes back to normal this year? I'm not totally convinced that Pacheco's the same player, especially when you fall to round 7 and you have as much production as he does. It makes me think there was probably like some medical red flags why he fell to the end of day 3 in the first place. Dang. Burrow's still there. At this point, maybe I just take Burrow. We could go Chuba, but you can't really convince me that some of these receivers are more valuable than Burrow straight up. So sadly, we do not have the stack. We can maybe backstack a little bit later, hope that one of those top receivers goes down. But mid round 6, I'm comfortable just taking Burrow unstacked. Kind of strange, but that's probably what was going to happen anyways. Like the team with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins on a different roster, but both of them have Daniels and Hurts. So they kind of sniped me on the Hurts stack. I'll snipe them on that Burrow stack, and hopefully I don't regret it. Hopefully spite was a worthy motivation with that pick, but I wish I had Chase Brown at the very least. But back to your comment, Vader, on Isaiah Pacheco. I think it's at least worth drafting him because when we have seen the Chiefs running back 1 healthy, that player is extremely reliable. Like even Kareem Hunt in his old age was a top 15 running back, averaging at times many stretches in the season like over 15 points. There's just a lot of value with the Andy Reid running back 1. So while I'm not totally convinced Pacheco is the same, there is still a decent chance that he'll be given that opportunity and the chance to show you that he's the same guy. And if it does work out, then he absolutely is worth his ADP. So we're kind of looking at best case scenarios in best ball, and that's why I'm willing to take Pacheco in these next 2 rounds. Mainly in round 8, I will reluctantly take Pacheco if I need running back. But in redraft, I would be worried about it. I would expect some injuries to kind of crop up for Pacheco. But Connor may be on the board here. Connor feels like one of the better picks, but he does go. So that's unfortunate. And some of these receivers have also really dried up. So because we passed on receiver in the last round, we're not going to pass on it twice. We will go Jayden Reed. Not my favorite pick here, but I do think worthy of this ADP at wide receiver 45 overall. In best ball specifically, Jayden Reed is more valuable. I would not love to draft Jayden Reed over Khalil Shakir in redraft. Like, I'm more of a floor player at receiver in this range in redraft, but for best ball, I want those spike weeks, and I don't have the headache of deciding when to sit and when to start Jayden Reed. When he pops off for 120 yards and 2 touchdowns in a random game, I will just automatically bank those points. I would like that type of skill set on this roster more than the floor of Khalil Shakir. Shakir is like, you're going to get 6 catches for 70 yards reliably from Shakir. However, in best ball, that doesn't really help you too much. But Mr. Grapefruit saying leaves open the Stafford and Tua stacks as a backup. We did take Waddle and Devontae on this team, so yes, indeed. And they're going so late. I really think they're worth their ADP. they're going like pick 150 or later. And at that point, we've waited on quarterbacks so much. I really think it is worth it. So the team so far, we went Jahmyr Gibbs, Derrick Henry, Devontae Adams, Devontae Smith, double Devontae, Jalen Waddle, Joe Burrow, Jaden Reed. We're going to need to grab a Mike Gesicki or an Andre Yoshivas in the later rounds with this team. I will be a little desperate for those types of players. Maybe Jaden Higgins. No, that's a player on the Texans. I'm forgetting. Jermaine Burton. Why did I say Jaden Higgins? Jermaine Burton might be a consideration. But Cooper Kupp falls. We're going to take the slight value on Cooper Kupp. I'm pretty convinced Cooper Kupp is never going to be the same health-wise in the NFL. But if he can remain healthy as the wide receiver 2 in his offense, it's definitely worth this ADP of wide receiver 50 off the board. I'm comfortable with Cooper Kupp, especially with Mooney off the board here. In round 8, there's a big tier break following Cooper Kupp. Having to bet on one of the Colts receivers or Trey Harris, Luther Burden, Jaden Higgins, it's not the same as Cooper Kupp. You know there's the financial commitment and overall there's the motivation for the Seahawks to make Cooper Kupp a valuable part of their offense. So may not last in terms of health, but at this point we don't have that many better options. We will take Cooper Kupp. Yes, Johnny Bravo. We are an underdog. Best ball, name of the game. Of course, Johnny Bravo. One of my favorite cartoons growing up. Excellent, excellent show. So when you're watching that show as like, you know, an 6-year-old, you feel like Johnny Bravo is like in his 30s. But Johnny Bravo is actually like 19. He's like barely out of high school. Johnny Bravo is just as immature as he sounds. But yes, do the monkey with me. We need the full single shot here. Give me 1 second. Do the monkey with me. It's like you're fucking milking an udder. Fucking stupid dance. I am willing to make a fool of myself for the sake of laughs, especially with a elite Johnny Bravo reference. That is worth it. So Cooper Kupp was our last pick, and receivers have completely dried up, and there's really no stacking options. So we are kind of invested in these Ravens offense. And I do think at this point, Mark Andrews is a valuable pickup. So I think he's the best pick on the board here. Tight end kind of dries up. There's some upside with Ingram and Njoku, but a little more injury risk than I'm willing to commit to at this price. I think Andrews is a bit of a tier break at tight end. And these prices on tight end are just like not moving. Like they're just not going up. I'm kind of surprised, but until they do, I will happily take the big discount on Mark Andrews here in round 9. I think past pick 100, that's an extremely safe pick. If you want to double it up with an Isaiah Likely, if you're really that worried about it, go ahead, be my guest. But I'm willing to trust Mark Andrews as a just touchdown machine in the red zone. Lamar Jackson rarely looks elsewhere when throwing the ball. Mark Andrews is a money in the bank type of tight end where touchdowns are so critical at this stage. Like, if you want to believe in Kelsey, I get it. Bummer for team 8 over there with the setting up a Chiefs stack. Passes on Mahomes, though. So I guess they didn't want it that much. Oh, no, they got sniped on Mahomes. Yeah, they passed on Mahomes at pick 80, and then at 89, they missed out on Mahomes. That's a bummer for them. They took the risk, and then they also get sniped on Kelsey. That team may be disappointed with what happened, but we would have probably taken Jaylen Warren if he did not get sniped there. But we are rolling with Gibbs and Henry. I'm willing to pass on it a little bit. At this point, I'm willing to go Tootin. All of the starting running backs have dried up. And the thing about the Jags backfield, it will have value. I don't think it's going to be a full 3-man rotation and no one is valuable at all. I think they're giving up on ETN. I think if there's a player that's probably not worth the ADP, it's ETN. And the ones I'm willing to take are Tootin and Tank Bigsby. Bigsby's much cheaper, but I do think if one may emerge, it's probably the guy that was just drafted by the new coaching staff, the new GM, and an overall new vibe. As ETN enters a contract season, I think later on, Tootin will be their main running back, especially with a pass-catching role. Bigsby is not a threat on third down unless something drastically changes over the offseason. But not only did they draft Tootin, they also drafted LaQuint Allen, who's also a really viable pass catcher. I really think they're trying to pivot off of guys like ETN and to a certain extent Tank Bigsby. So if there is one Jags running back I'm comfortable with and probably has the most upside, I believe it is Bashal Tootin, but this is a risky pick. Not a guarantee at all with Tootin. And now receiver is hitting a cliff, and if we don't take one of these guys, we have to wait till pick 147 to grab someone like McMillan or Jalen Knoll. I will just take Hollywood Brown. Kind of goes back to the argument we were kind of having, I guess, discussion on those Chiefs receivers early at the top. If I am correct, where at least one of them is not worth this high draft price, it's because Hollywood Brown steps up. It's because Hollywood Brown is not washed after all. And Hollywood Brown has major injury risk. I'm not convinced he gives me a full season at all. And that's why I do think the fall from grace in terms of ADP on Hollywood is very justified. But as my wide receiver 6, we're not counting on him like crazy. And if maybe Rashee Rice is just not the same, maybe if Worthy goes down with injury, there could be a handful of weeks where Hollywood Brown is the top target for Mahomes and actually does put forth some valuable games here. So I'm not completely unwilling to invest in the Chiefs offense. I just want a good price. And I think overall Hollywood Brown has the most affordable value of them all. So let's take it. It could blow up in my face, but as wide receiver 6, we don't need it to be a foolproof plan. We just need to luck out with some valuable games from Hollywood. So we will take him. We will take him. Receiver does dramatically fall off. I mean, even by pick 100, like once Downs and Pittman are off the board, like everyone at that point is really a big gamble. I would not have taken Kirk there, so happy to see him go. We could go Jordan Love if we really want to, but I think one of the most valuable handcuffs is Isaac Guerendo, and we are in absolutely the right range to merit that decision. So we'll get back to the running back position. We've ignored it for enough time. We have Gibbs, Henry, Tootin, and Guerendo, and if this year is like last year where CMC is just completely irrelevant for 10 plus games, Guerendo has some of the highest value of any handcuff. I can make an argument that Guerendo is just as valuable as Zach Charbonnet, yet he's going 3 rounds later. And personally, straight up, I'd rather have Guerendo than Jordan Mason. Give me Guerendo all day. I am going to be absolutely overweight on Isaac Guerendo, especially when Christian McCaffrey had the second Achilles issue, the tendonitis in his other Achilles. Like, it wasn't in just one foot. He went to Germany and had it inspected because it was in both Achilles. I don't think that's a good sign at all. I think absolutely you should be investing in the Niners handcuff 100%. Even if you want to take Jordan James in round 18, the rookie they just drafted, I believe in round 4. Be my guest. Maybe it was round 5. But yeah, Jonathan knows what you're talking about. Jordan James claiming is a good running back. There's a world where Jordan James does beat out Garendo, but at the moment, I saw enough from Garendo where he can handle that lion's share of touches. And as of today, Kyle Shanahan does trust Garendo a little bit more. So I still believe in Isaac Garendo. One of my most drafted players last year, granted it was round 18. If Jordan Mason didn't take so long to get hurt, it may have worked out a little bit better. But in the fantasy playoffs, Garendo was the guy, and Garendo did have like a 25-point game in that stretch when he was starting. His floor was like 9 points. If he didn't score a touchdown, he was still getting you 9 points off of just yardage. So I will take Garendo. The upside in that Niners backfield is totally worth it. But we almost took Love with the last pick. And while it wasn't really the stack I was targeting, it's pick 151 and Love has an ADP of 128. We're getting Love 2 rounds past ADP, and we do have him stacked up with Jaden Reed. I will take Jordan Love at this stage of the game. Jordan Love round 13, that's like where he was going as a rookie. And he absolutely paid off in that rookie ADP. He didn't quite pay off last year's ADP, but he did get hurt. He pulled his groin in week 1, and their offense was much more run heavy than we anticipated. So I think they're going to start to pivot back to the pass, especially if Love's injury was really the problem. And the drafting of Matthew Golden definitely singles. Love will be chucking it a little bit extra. So we've seen some productive games from Love. I definitely think Love is a safer pick than Michael Penix. And I can argue for Love above Trevor Lawrence, above Jared Goff, above Dak Prescott. Definitely above CJ Stroud. Neither of them had a good year last season. Jordan Love is fine here in this range. But thank you for the reminder, Mr. Grapefruit. I hope Gesicki makes it back as well. But I don't feel convinced I have to take him in round 14. I think I can get him a little bit later. Mike Gesicki, ADP 171. We are picking at 162. And because we're in the middle, I am willing to take that shot that we can get Gesicki the following round if we want him. But where else would we go? That's the question. Is there a better option than Gesicki? We can definitely stack up Stafford or Tua if we wanted. We have Davante Adams. We have Jalen Waddle. I also think Rico Dowdle is a valuable pick here. Even Austin Eckler to a certain degree, but I will go Stafford. We're going to get trip quarterbacks, especially because I have Burrow unstacked. I can argue with the value on Love and drafting Burrow kind of early. We don't need the third quarterback. However, because it's not a guarantee I am able to stack up Burrow at all, if this team is going to win, it's because my bet on Davante Adams as our wide receiver 1 actually does work out, and that is the stack I would love to have. Like, in the fantasy playoffs, if you told me Davante Adams has a 3-touchdown game or 5 touchdowns in those 3 weeks, then Stafford is probably going to be a valuable pick at this price. And maybe he's lesser owned, perhaps that's one of the stacks you need. Maybe it does work out, but I would rather stack Davante Adams with Stafford than stack Waddle with Tua. And in a vacuum, I think both of them in this round are probably equally tiered up. Both have very high upside. I prefer Stafford in that Rams offense, though. But let's get back to the chat real quick. Yeah, we do have some divisional correlation, sadly. But your point, I think, did work out. Is that the team with Jonnu? Yeah, you called it, Mr. Grapefruit. The team with Jonnu does take Gesicki. Regrettably, we do not get Gesicki. So it doesn't work out, but it's not the end of the world. Definitely not going to cry about it. We're kind of invested in Baltimore, but I don't really like the price on Hopkins. I don't really trust Hopkins at all. We're definitely not taking quarterback. I'd be fine with Taylor here. But I think I'm going to go DJ Giddens. That's a 5th running back I'm comfortable taking because he's also a very high upside handcuff. We have seen Jonathan Taylor deal with some injuries in the past. And playing in that offense in Indianapolis, I think is valuable. So I am willing to take DJ Giddens. We kind of reached on him, 10 picks, though. Maybe that wasn't the right pick. But receivers all gross. Maybe I should have just gone with Yoshivis. We're absolutely taking Yoshi at this point. I think we have 3 picks left. Yes. Thankfully, we have Andrews, and it's a good enough tight end 1 where getting this stack is kind of, just a luxury. Not a player we're, like, super relying on. And also, like, if one of those receivers, like if T. Higgins or Jamar Chase does not go down, then Gesicki isn't, like, that great. All of his good games last season all correlated with Higgins getting hurt. So, like, you do kind of also need to thread the needle again that, like, Higgins is going down. So we have a completely unstacked Burrow. We will change that as long as we don't get sniped here on Yoshivis. We're not taking a quarterback. If Mason Taylor had fallen here, I'd probably consider him, but not a necessary pick. We will go Yoshivis. Had 6 touchdowns last year. Not like elite production, only about 100 points overall in the season, but good enough to justify a spot on our roster. When we have Burrow, that is the move. But we're not going to take Jermaine Burton, that's for sure. Yoshivis clearly won the job, and after re-signing Higgins, I don't think they're that committed to Jermaine Burton. But we need one more receiver here. We need one more tight end. That will complete the team. A reminder of how it went. We went double running back out the gate. We go Jahmyr Gibbs, slight value on Gibbs, and then a decent value on Derrick Henry at pick 18. And I kind of like how it worked out. We go Devontae Adams in round 3, my favorite pick of them all in round 3. I think should be going in the 2nd round. Then we go Devontae Smith in round 4, very safe pick. Jalen Waddle at 55. Sadly, we did not get the Hurts stack at 55, but I'm very glad I went Waddle instead of Mixon because that gave us the opportunity to grab the falling value on Joe Burrow. Despite no stack, we do get Burrow at 66, and that's an elite level quarterback. Burrow can give you a 40-point game. While he is unstacked, it's not ideal. In round 6, I'm comfortable taking him at 66 overall. But then we go back to receiver with Jaden Reed and Cooper Kupp. Then we grab Mark Andrews, Bashal Tutin, hoping that Jags backfield does pop off. Hollywood Brown for some optimistic value, cheap in Kansas City. And then Isaac Guerendo, if Christian McCaffrey goes down, we have a stud running back. We are on the clock, so we'll get back to that in just a second. We are tight end and wide receiver. And let's take a swing on a rookie. Elik Ayamanor, that wide receiver 2 role in Tennessee is up for grabs. And while they did draft Chimeri DK, I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly, it was in round 4. They also took Ayamanor in round 4 as well. And personally, I thought Ayamanor was a better prospect than DK. So I'm just going to stick with my gut. While maybe we should go DK because he's less rostered, I do think Ayamanor can emerge potentially as that wide receiver 2 for Cam Ward. So let's grab Ayamanor here as wide receiver 8 on this roster. Not expecting the world from him, but if it does work out, he would smash this ADP. I do think the number 2 receiver for Cam Ward will have value. Will it be Ayamanor? Will it be Tyler Lockett? Or will it be DK? I don't know. But that's what you accept when you draft in early May. Right now, we do not know the official depth chart. If we were drafting in August, this pick would be a lot more obvious who has that role locked down in Tennessee. Right now, we're just taking a gamble that it is Ayamanor. But Albie, we are going to draft one more time. We will be doing another puppy right after this next pick. we will draft one more puppy. Then I'll log off. We're doing 2 drafts today. So if you want to hop in, I will give you the heads up for sure when we pivot. But right after this pick, I'll just remind you the full roster one last time, and then we'll get into it. But I love this value we got on Jordan Love. 23 picks past ADP. That's a beautiful, beautiful value. I would have taken Okonkwo had he been available there, but we do have Stafford, and that means I'm going to take a swing on Terrence Ferguson. Not a guarantee to work out. There's a chance that Tyler Higbee still has a role there, but they drafted Ferguson, I believe, in the 2nd round. Let me verify that. If not the 2nd round, it was round 4. Maybe it was the 4th round. Oh no, it was round 2. I was correct. Round 2. And I can envision a world where Terrence Ferguson does beat out Tyler Higbee on this roster. So 6'5", 247 out of Oregon. Ran a 4.63, 86th percentile. Similar burst score. Even higher percentile based on his weight adjusted metrics. And then his catch radius is in the top 10% of all tight end prospects. So I do think Ferguson has some true athleticism, and in this Rams offense, good things can happen. He had 3 legit seasons, nothing less than 391 yards for Oregon. Only played 3 years. That's a good sign. I like when college prospects enter the NFL draft after their junior year. It is a sign that they are ready to go a little bit earlier. And in his last season in college, had 591 yards. That's almost 14 yards per reception on 43 catches in 12 games, only 3 touchdowns his junior year, but as a freshman and as a sophomore, a total 11 touchdowns in his first 26 games. That's a relatively high rate I am willing to take a shot on. When we punt tight end like this, we need some high upside guys. And in round 18, especially with Stafford, I'm all in on Ferguson here as a justified pick. And Jonathan likes it, says go Ducks. T. Ferg is a dog. I'm pretty happy with the stack. That is something I'm comfortable with. So let's just remind you of the full roster. We'll be very quick, and then we'll get back to the next lobby here. But here's the team. We have Joe Burrow. We have a 3-5-8-2 build out of the 7 slot. We got Burrow, Jordan Love, and Stafford. Burrow is only stacked up with Yoshivas, but it's okay. Running back, we have 2 studs, and then hoping for some good values late. We have Jahmyr Gibbs and Derrick Henry, Bashal Tutin, Isaac Guerendo, and DJ Giddens. And I think even though we started heavy running back, it did work out well because we didn't ignore receiver very much as the draft went on. We have Devontae Adams, Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, Jaden Reed, and Cooper Kupp, Hollywood Brown, Andre Yoshivas, and a swing on Elik Yamanor. At tight end, we got Matthew Stafford and Terrence Ferguson. Hoping for the best on Ferguson, but I think with a guy like Andrews, even if Ferguson doesn't do very much, only has like 2 touchdowns next season, almost never contributes, I think Andrews can keep us afloat for the majority of the season. So love the running back room, love the quarterback room. I think wide receiver is deep enough to work out, and tight end has some nice skill to it. I like this team. Let me know what you think in the comments, but I'm pretty comfortable, pretty satisfied overall with this team. Let's draft another one. Let's head over to the draft lobby and scroll over to the puppy. $5 puppy, 20-second pick clock. I'm on a 10-second delay. So if you want in, hit it right now, and I will join in roughly 5 seconds. Let's hop in. 10 spots left. So hopefully if you joined, I lined it up well enough where you're not in the draft that filled right before I got in. Hopefully we're together if you do want to join. But with 10 spots open, there's a chance there was a mix-up. I hope not. But I'm going to take a little smoke break. We will just get out of frame for a second. Actually, no, let's hit the ultimate smoke transition. What am I thinking? There we go. There we go. Sometimes I think about changing the intro, making a new one that's maybe a little more geared towards football. Like, I thought about having one that like is like a snap, of the football, like maybe a close up on someone about to snap the ball with the hut hut, maybe a silent count. No, not a silent count. The weeds hitting me. Just a good attempt to draw people off sides. Hard count. But nah, we won't change the intro. What I have thought about, I've mentioned this in the past. I don't really play Madden. I still rock with my PS2, and I got a PS3 as well. But honestly, the best football video game, in my opinion, is NFL Game Day 2004. People rave about Madden 04 with Mike Vick on the cover, but NFL Game Day was a short-lived franchise that was trying to compete with Madden and really establish their footing. While it may not have worked out, it just, didn't really catch up quick enough for them to have that role in the market. That game is elite. And what was the point I was trying to make? Oh, in the intro, there is like this awesome compilation of like wired players on the field, like hyping each other up in like the huddle or whatever. And there's this clip of Eddie George that I absolutely love. And it's real quick. He's just telling his teammates, play with a controlled rage and passion. Controlled rage and passion. That's how I want to play fantasy football. A controlled rage and passion, competitive as fuck. You're not going to beat me type of mentality, but don't let that get the best of you. You got to control that rage and passion, but you want it at an all-time high. Quote from Eddie George, play with a controlled rage and passion. And honestly, you can apply that to literally every part of your life. Whether you're at the gym, whether you're on the golf course, whether you're trying to make a sale, just pitching yourself at a job interview, play with a controlled rage and passion. A rage that you fucking want it, passion that you will achieve your desired outcome, but a controlled, measured approach. Granted, we did just smoke, but sometimes that helps you control things. Do I vape or smoke, Albie? You will never see me vape. Definitely not on the channel. If I'm maybe chilling with a homie and they offer me the pen, I might hit the pen. But I will never own a vape. I'm not a vapor. I like the real thing. I like to smoke. Also, there's some weird, like, I don't want to get flagged or anything for something I'm saying. I doubt that'll happen about this, but I've heard some weird like studies on like lung health and people who vape. Like, there's some concerns in terms of long-term health when it comes to vaping. Not that smoke is like elite for you, but I'm not sure vaping is the best thing. I also don't enjoy it as much. Like the high I get from vaping, I'm not like in love with as much. We're gonna go St. Brown for sure. If Neighbors had fallen, we would go Neighbors, but I view St. Brown and Neighbors the same. We will take St. Brown, absolutely. Vader says 100. Jonathan YOLO. Are you a vapor, Jonathan? It's okay. No judgment. Best Ball on Call says NFL Blitz 2000. I have not played that. Maybe I should order it. Or is it for PlayStation or is it Xbox? If it's PS2, I'll hop on eBay after this stream and order it. You can get PlayStation 2 games on eBay for like $5-6. If one of your old games is scratched, if your console still works, I think we're gonna go McCaffrey. I think this is a McCaffrey team. We got a very safe receiver McCaffrey falls 3 picks. Ooh, PS1, true OG. Wow. Okay, that's why I've never played it. I've never owned a PS1. I've been a PS2 boy. I remember Christmas Day with PS2, and the game that came with it was Crash Nitro Kart, or maybe it was Crash Team Racing. One of those is for PlayStation 2. The other is for PS1. I think it's CTR. Jonathan says Zin and the dab pen. It's been a minute since I've done a Zin or any type of dip. Those pouches. I've been off nicotine for years, since before I started the channel. I've maybe had like 1 cigarette in the last like 6 years. Maybe 3. My mom smokes, so occasionally I'll take a drag if she's like... Actually, no, my mom has quit smoking. It's easy to remember her as a smoker, but no, she's actually been off nicotine for 8 months. We just had Mother's Day yesterday, so shout out to my mom. Congrats on 8 months sober from nicotine and any tobacco products. Shout out to anyone who's battling addiction and sticking to their desired goal. Best Ball on Call says my PS2 was GTA 3 and GT2. Yo, the PS2 was dope. Did anybody play Sly Cooper? Sly Cooper on PS2? Any of the 3 that came out. I loved Sly Cooper. It was one of my favorite games. Obviously, Crash Bandicoot, one of the ultimate games as well. I never had an Xbox, so I never got into Halo. But I remember back in the day, Halo was a big thing. Oh, Gran Turismo. Gran Turismo's dope. All the car chases. Yeah, Gran Turismo's good game. Was it Gran Turismo that had like the night drive? Oh, it's like such a quintessential artwork on that game, but I'm forgetting what it is. One of those other racing games. It was for like the PSP. There was one for the PSP as well. Oh, Twisted Metal. Twisted Metal's dope, especially on the PSP. The PSP was also dope. I had a PSP. That was fun. You take that to school. I was more of a PSP than Nintendo DS. Nothing wrong with a Nintendo DS, but PSP also fucking dope. Can we get Chase Brown here? That'd be interesting. A CMC St. Brown Chase Brown team. And get sniped on Chase Brown. I kind of want to pass on running back. I think we're going to go elite QB on this one. We don't normally take Josh Allen, so let's go with Josh Allen here at pick 34. We got McCaffrey. Kyron, I think, is appropriately priced, but I'm comfortable with James Cook in the same tier. There was a name for the ice cream truck. I just remember it being the ice cream truck. It's the clown that drives it. My headspace has not been on like those types of video games in such a long time. I really don't remember some of those like character details. Sweet Tooth. Once you say it, it rings the bell. Yeah. That's a good name for a ice cream truck driver. We could go Mike Evans here. We could go Tet McMillan. But Mike Evans, while he is locked into 1,000 yards, I don't think he's going to give you much more than that. And you need double-digit touchdowns. They drafted Egbuka. I'm going to take the swing on Tet McMillan. We could go Worthy, but I prefer McMillan. I could see a season from McMillan with like 1,200 yards and 9 touchdowns. I really could. So I think there's a little bit more upside with McMillan. And because of the Rashee Rice pairing with Worthy, I am willing to skip on Worthy, go Tet McMillan. Mike Evans is really more of a floor play. We already have the ultimate floor play in St. Brown. So we could double up with Mike Evans here. But at his age, I'm willing to consider a slight dip in value and maybe fewer touchdowns for Mike Evans this year. But there's obviously a world where he just never falls off until retirement. And he is under contract next season. So I do think Mike Evans is a perfectly fine pick. I think any of the 3 receivers that just went off, Tet McMillan, Mike Evans, or Xavier Worthy, fine picks in round 4. Because we have St. Brown, we can take a little bit more risk and shoot for a little more upside. There is no threat for targets for Tet McMillan. You cannot say that about Mike Evans or Xavier Worthy. Definitely can't say that for Travis Hunter, who plays alongside Brian Thomas. I would rather have Tet McMillan than Travis Hunter as well. Give me Tet in round 4 almost all day. Usually, I will happily click Tet. But beyond those 3, I'd rather have Devontae Smith than DJ Moore, like the last draft, that is who we took. And then I also think I'd rather have Sutton than Zay Flowers. Then I think I'd go DK Metcalf, also above Zay Flowers. But Flowers is fine at the end of the round 4. If he ever falls to you in the 5th, I do like that price on Flowers. But no one as valuable as Tet, in my opinion, in round 4 at pick 39. But I have noticed it's been a while since we've gotten Ridley to fall to us in the back half of the 5th round. Ridley's like officially going early round 5, and that means give it like 2 weeks. Ridley will probably have an ADP in the 4th round. Ridley is moving up the board, and I think justifiably, especially as the hype train continues to roll on Cam Ward. They pay Ridley so much. His role is so locked in. I think Ward can absolutely make Ridley maybe even worthy of a 3rd round pick. I think Ridley, even in round 4, is probably a name I will be fine taking as he trickles up. I think Ridley's a very safe pick. JMO, George Pickens. Are we going a little overboard on Pickens moving up this fast? Maybe a little bit steep, which is fine for me. I don't think I was going to take him. But I guess I understand it. Going the same range as Waddle, Addison. They are wide receiver 2. Same with Odunze. Even Godwin, wide receiver 2s. But I think I'd rather have Godwin than Pickens. Probably. We took Waddle last time he gets sniped. We have not taken much Chuba Hubbard. But I don't see all 4 running backs getting taken in these next 4 picks. If that happens, I'd be pretty shocked. So I'm just going to take the receiver I want the most. And we're going to go Godwin. We pass on Mike Evans. We can kind of follow that logic. Maybe it's because Godwin is actually the guy you want. And while we do take Godwin a little above ADP, as long as he's healthy, it is worth it. So it's going to work out. We're going to get one of the running backs I wanted, and that's why I didn't feel the need to grab Hubbard with that earlier pick. But I prefer Henderson over Kenneth Walker. Henderson gets injured. He doesn't stay healthy, and as good as he is, I think he has really good backup running backs behind him, and I cannot say that about TreVeyon Henderson. I do not feel Ramondre at all. I think Henderson's very talented. I think Henderson is more talented than RJ Harvey, and I'm actually not convinced that Henderson's backfield is going to be more of a, or I guess less of a committee than RJ Harvey's will be in Denver. Like Sean Payton has used running back by committee for a very long time, and some people think they reached on Harvey in the 2nd round, but I'm not totally convinced that that's like a commitment to giving him 75% of the backfield. He will absolutely be valuable. I think I just rather take Henderson above RJ Harvey. That's my stance. So to get Henderson at 63, very happy with that. I think I'd rather have Henderson than Chuba Hubbard straight up as well. So at 58, honestly, it was between Chris Godwin and TreVeyon Henderson. And I was right to believe we could probably get Henderson coming back around. So we go Godwin instead. And I do think when you take McCaffrey, it does behoove you to get a running back that is going to be a top 20 option. There's obviously a world where McCaffrey misses at least 5 games, and you need someone to carry you through that stretch. So Henderson, I really trust. I think there is a bit of a tier break after Kamara and James Conner. So get the best one in that tier. I endorse Henderson in round 6 as, let's see, running back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Running back 19 off the board. That sounds very appropriate for Henderson. And given his youth, probably less likely to be missing games than Alvin Kamara at age 31. James Conner also in his 30s, a year younger. And Kenneth Walker, who is kind of young, but has consistently missed games every year of his career. I at least can hope Henderson will play all 17 games. But this next pick is pretty obvious. If we get Ayuk available, that's clearly the direction. We do not get. And once again, I'm in a position where I'm comfortable with like almost any of the running backs that fall. I don't think all of them will get taken. And we went Cooper Kupp last time, and we need receiver. We're going to go Darnell Mooney. We have to. They're off from Ayuk to Mooney, but we have pick 10, and we needed pick 9. It just doesn't happen. But that's at least not going to box me into a Brock Purdy stack. I'm not dying to draft Brock Purdy. He's fine, but he's not my favorite quarterback in his range. We go Mooney instead. I don't know. I don't think it's critical to have a good running back 3, but I think that's the best value on the board here. And we've taken a lot of DeAndre Swift at a much cheaper price. Even though Pacheco has moved up the board a little excessively lately, I still think it's worth it. If Pacheco's healthy, he's absolutely worth this. So we're going to go with Pacheco. There's no way a running back in this tier is available around the long turn at 106. So just take one of them. The reach is 100% justified, even though his ADP is like 93 or something. He should probably be going in this range between pick 85 and pick 100. Pacheco is a justified selection. If he goes down, he goes down. It doesn't work out. But if he stays healthy, I don't think Kareem Hunt is really that big of a threat to his job. Brashard Smith, maybe, but Brashard Smith's seventh round pick, while Pacheco is also a 7th round pick. At the moment, you usually don't project a 7th round running back to overtake the RB1. So let's hope we get the production, and we also snipe the Mahomes team that already has Rashee Rice and Worthy. They're not getting the extra combo of Pacheco stacked with Mahomes. But I could totally justify taking Swift or Aaron Jones there as well. Not going to fault you if that's your preference. If you're going running back there, those are the names. And then once those 3 are off the board, I'll settle on Brian Robinson. I do think B-Rob is like the next best name. But receiver, pretty thin again. Josh Downs, Luther Burden, Jaden Higgins already off the board. Let me know in the comment section, are you guys buying Jaden Higgins? Do you believe this is going to work out there? I kind of feel like it's too crowded to fully trust him. I think I'd rather go Jalen Noel than Jaden Higgins based on ADP. Much cheaper to go with Noel. But Reflect the Sun, happy to see you back here in the chat. And according to you, you say no, not worth it. That Houston O-line is not good. Grapefruit, on the other hand, is buying. Likes him and Noel. I don't think Kirk is that relevant anymore. Yeah, they also only traded like a 7th round pick for Kirk, and it's really just his contract. That's the only reason to like maybe consider him going to be there and consistently available. But he's basically filling in for Tank Dell, and they got him before the draft. Yeah, I'm not buying into Kirk too much. I think Jalen Noel is my favorite, and I'd rather have Higgins than Kirk. But he has a similar body type and skill set to Nico Collins. I kind of feel like as a better complement would be Jalen Noel. I don't see a big gap between Higgins and Noel. The reason why Higgins was a 2nd rounder and Noel was a 3rd is because Higgins is 6'4", and obviously more of an NFL body. But we've seen the receiver position. You do not need to have the biggest body on the field to excel at receiver. Definitely not. But I think with these next 2 picks around this turn, I think Keon Coleman is absolutely like a necessary pick. We have Josh Allen, so the stack 100% justified. And he's the top receiver on the board. I'm not going to risk it. They're also sitting at 4 wideouts. And it's kind of the exact same thing that has happened with our last 2 running back picks. Even if I want to take one, I don't think all 3 will come off in these next 4 picks. So I will grab the receiver I want the most. I'd be a lot more pissed getting sniped on Coleman before pick 111 than striking out on these running backs, getting sniped on all of them. And that's exactly what happens again. We are able to get whichever running back we want. However, I am not going to go running back when Mark Andrews is still available on the board. We went Andrews in the last draft, and he was a valuable asset to have. It allows you to only take 2. And I definitely still think he's the right pick, even in the round before, at tight end. So he falls to us at 111. Get him in back-to-back drafts. If this ADP holds on Andrews, he's going to be probably one of my most drafted tight ends overall. I really like the price on Mark Andrews. At some point, I should probably start mixing in Isaiah Likely to like counterbalance it, but I am not convinced that this is the year where Likely overtakes Andrews. I still think Andrews has clearly 1 more year left in the tank. At least in the red zone, I don't see his role changing very much. And because of that, that's kind of the only reason why I'm a little more tempted to go with like Lamar Jackson as the quarterback 1. Like when you're deciding between Lamar and Josh Allen at that 3-4 turn, knowing that you can stack him with Andrews this late is very tempting. But we can also still stack Dalton Kincaid with Josh Allen. And at the next turn, that's probably what I will do. And call it a day if I have those 2 tight ends on my roster. So far, we're sitting with Josh Allen, Christian McCaffrey, Travion Henderson, and Isaiah Pacheco. Big injury risk with McCaffrey and Pacheco. I'm fully acknowledging that. But if they stay healthy, they will outperform their ADP. McCaffrey will be at worst like running back 3, more likely than not, if he stays healthy. Pacheco could finish top 15, and he's being drafted well outside the top 20 at the position. So hoping for good health. Probably a little over-optimistic. But at receiver, we have 2 very safe top 2 options. We got St. Brown and Tet McMillan. If Godwin also stays healthy, we are rolling. He will probably put up top 10 numbers again, at least on a per-game basis. And then Darnell Mooney as wide receiver 50 off the board, I do think is a value. We'll have some big spike weeks. Also opens up a Michael Penix stack if we want it. And then Keon Coleman to stack with Josh Allen, 100% justified. And Mark Andrews, our tight end 1. This team is risky because of health concerns, but definitely high upside. Big swings are being taken with some of these players on this team. I do like it. But knowing we can get Kincaid in the next one, we probably pass on Njoku, but I'm willing to take him if I have to here. I don't want Travis Etienne, so I'm going to pass. I will take Kincaid because both of these teams only have one tight end. I can easily see one of them sniping me just for the laughs. So let's get ahead of it. Let's grab Kincaid. The difference between pick 130 and 135 is really negligible when it just locks up the player you want. So the same logic as when we took Keon Coleman. We'd be more upset if we got sniped on him than anyone else. And everyone that'll still be available, I'm comfortable with those options. So we go Kincaid. And if ETN's still there, maybe we go ETN, but you heard my take earlier. I'd rather be drafting Tootin or waiting for Tank Bigsby. I don't really want Travis Etienne very much at all. But with Josh Allen, we know we're only drafting 2 quarterbacks. So you know what? F it. We're going to go Isaiah Likely. Let's grab that insurance policy. We got Andrews and Likely and Dalton Kincaid. Tight end is done. We could have justified just 2, but I don't really like that many of the running back values. Well, we could justify Garendo with McCaffrey. If I'm going to take McCaffrey that high, I want to operate in this draft like McCaffrey's playing the full season. I want to operate as if the running back behind him is just not going to get the snaps. And while maybe you want the approach of like, well, maybe we get 10 full weeks of McCaffrey and then he goes down and we need another 7 games out of someone else. And now we have the exact perfect time correlation with the handcuff. You could do that, but I'd also like to take the shot that maybe the backup is just that irrelevant. And that's why McCaffrey is going at a value. That's the argument I'm making by justifying McCaffrey. Is it going to pan out that way? Probably not. Maybe the Garendo handcuff is actually the way. But I don't hate it. I don't hate what we did. I would be pretty shocked, though, if Garendo falls all the way back to us. We see Jalen Noel go off at 142. Is that the team with Jaden Higgins? It is. So that team going with the CJ Stroud double stack of Jalen Noel and Jaden Higgins. And they went trip running back out the gate. They went Saquon, Taylor, Jacobs, Flowers, Ridley, Odunze, Shakir, Higgins. Playing with fire, but not bad. Kind of an interesting team over there at number 3. And Garendo goes off at 144. So we will not be getting Garendo, that's for sure. Mr. Grapeford says you want those rookies for later in the year, too, when they are coming on strong. Is this in relation to our Travion Henderson pick? I haven't checked the chat in a while. Probably is. Texans could be a playoff team. That defense is still a monster. I mean, let's hype up the Texans defense. Let's not shit on Justin Herbert. He was going up against such an elite monster defense, according to Mr. Grapefruit. They have a good defense. Let's not pretend they don't have a good defense. They picked off Jared Goff like 5 times, and they were in that game very, very close down to the wire type of performance. Texans defense is actually very legit, very well coached, does show up. Led by Will Anderson. And then they got Stingley in the secondary. They got some players there in Houston. Okay, we get sniped on Josh Palmer. That's probably a good thing. But I'll go Ray Davis here. I will absolutely go Ray Davis. I'm not dying to take one of these other receivers, whereas I think Ray Davis is an extremely valuable handcuff, and we'll have a weekly role where I can see him catching passes, and some of these touchdowns do correlate with Josh Allen. I will gladly go Ray Davis here as our fourth running back. If not Ray Davis, we would have gone Tank Bigsby. We're back on the clock, and we need receiver bad. We went Tet McMillan. I don't think Bryce Young will come all the way back around. So we'll go Bryce Young to stack with Tet McMillan. And maybe there's a chance that one of these Panthers is still there with Leggett, Thielen. Even Rico Dowdle I would consider. But worst comes to worst, there's Jalen Coker super late. Leggett already off. But we go Bryce Young. We know we have the stack. We're also heavily relying on Tet McMillan on this team. So assuming that does pan out, it would then correlate that maybe Bryce Young is more valuable than this ADP would suggest. He did have a really good close to the season thanks to his rushing yards and rushing touchdowns. If that doesn't disappear, he will outperform this ADP. I do think Bryce Young is a perfectly fine value to settle on, especially when you have someone like Josh Allen where you're not expecting very much from the backup in the first place. You might get like only 4 weeks where the backup is relevant, and one of them is the bye week. So this team getting a little bit risky at receiver, but overall I like it. We got St. Brown, extremely safe player, Christian McCaffrey, Josh Allen, Tet McMillan, Chris Godwin, Travion Henderson, Darnell Mooney out of desperation, Isaiah Pacheco, Keon Coleman for the stack, Andrews and Isaiah Likely for the insurance in Baltimore, and then Kincaid also for the Josh Allen stack. Then we go Ray Davis. We got sniped on Josh Palmer, but I'm perfectly fine with that. I don't think Josh Palmer is a very good pick here at all. I think Ray Davis is way more valuable than Josh Palmer. And then Bryce Young at 159 for the stack. And there's a chance that Adam Thielen could be there at 178 for us with a double stack. But he's the best receiver on the board according to ADP. It probably does not happen. We need 7 picks to come off and him to stay there. Probably not going to work out. But 4 rounds left. We're done at quarterback, done at tight end. We're strictly running back, wide receiver, and I think 3 of these picks have to be receivers. We're gonna have 5 running backs on this team. 8 receivers, 2 QBs, 3 tight ends. Adam Thielen goes 175. The team did time out, so that is probably the reason why. Because it's kind of hard to talk yourself into Adam Thielen. I'm going to be honest with you. Not too upset we got sniped here, but I'm going to go Rico Dowdle. I think definitely one of the more valuable handcuffs. Should be drafted, absolutely. And the reports are in regarding Jonathan Brooks. There is no concern at all regarding Jonathan Brooks. Jonathan Brooks will not be playing next season. He is out all of 2025. Their second round pick from last year, not relevant. Rico Dowdle is the backup to Chuba Hubbard. And I think he was good enough last year to warrant a few more touches than some people are giving him credit for. I could see some weekly value on Dowdle. And then obviously if Hubbard goes down, we've seen the upside of the running back 1 workhorse in Carolina. And we also saw what Dowdle could do with it when he was playing for Dallas last season. So I do think Dowdle's fine. It also correlates with Bryce Young. We're invested in Carolina. He does catch some passes. I will gladly take Rico Dowdle above Roschon Johnson. And we get him after Roschon Johnson. So fine with that pick. Now we're locked into receiver. I have no choice than to go anywhere else but receiver. And we mentioned Coker there, goes a little bit later. If Thielen drops off, as is probably like a decent bet to make, and Leggett does not do much, then maybe Coker is that wide receiver too. Coker, not my favorite player, but that number 2 role is actually completely up for grabs in Carolina. He could actually be the better pick between Leggett, Thielen, and Coker, and he is going in with the cheapest price, so we will take him. But I'd probably rather have Leggett. Probably that is the safer investment in that Panthers receiving core. But we got 2 picks left. This will be the last time I remind you of the full roster before this draft is completely over. But we go Josh Allen and Bryce Young, McCaffrey, Travion Henderson, Isaiah Pacheco, Ray Davis, and Rico Dowdle. So we are stacking running backs, backup running backs with the quarterbacks as well. Wide receiver, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Ted McMillan, Chris Godwin, Darnell Mooney, Keon Coleman, Jalen Coker, and then tight end, we have Andrews and Likely paired up with Kincaid. We need 2 more receivers on this team. If receiver hits, if it all lines up well, we get some good picks at the end, I actually think this team is very competitive. Not only in this 12-team pod, but also in the tournament. And I know Albie is drafting with me at pick 1. We have not mentioned Albie's team, so he's on the clock. We will take a look at Albie's team here at pick 1. He goes Jamar Chase, Bucky Irving, Marvin Harrison, Cortland Sutton, Joe Burrow, gets the stack, Montgomery, Matthew Golden, Kyler Murray, Trey Harris, Rashid Shaheed, Tyler Warren, Isaac Guerrero, Trey Benson, Anthony Richardson, Alec Pierce. I like the Richardson-Pierce combo. Did you also take Downs? I feel like you also took Downs earlier. Oh, no, Downs went right before you. Pick 91. And then J.K. Dobbins, Chigo Okonkwo. So tight end a little bit thin, going with Tyler Warren and Okonkwo, but Warren is also stacked up. That's not bad. Are you going with tight end in round 18? Let me know, Albie. I know you were at least in the chat earlier, but let me know what your plan is. It's not bad at all. I think you addressed receiver at a good rate. I like Bucky Irving's upside. Montgomery there, definitely good selection. And then you do have Kyler stacked up with Harrison. You have Jamar Chase and Burrow. This is a good team. Good balanced running back room and some valuable handcuffs as well. I don't know about Dobbins. Dobbins scares me. I'll take A.D. Mitchell. Maybe all of my convictions on Alec Pierce are going to pivot to A.D. Mitchell. But A.D. Mitchell, a second-round pick, has a shot to work out. Granted, his rookie season was pretty terrible. Don't usually take him, but willing to take him here. And then we're going to grab another receiver. And we did pass on Cooper Kupp in this team for Darnell Mooney. Let's follow that logic one step further and say Cooper Kupp does not stay healthy at all. Who would fill in as the number 2 receiver in Seattle? It would be Torrey Horton, who I do think is talented, I do think is viable, I do think could emerge, especially as a big deep threat for Sam Darnold. Darnold had some big passes last year, especially to Addison, and I don't think Kupp at his age in the slot is going to be filling in on that deep shot role in that offense. So I will go Torrey Horton. I think there is a world where he fills in as a bit more of like a Tyler Lockett, long shot receiver. And if Kupp does go down, I see some upside for Torrey Horton. That role is up for grabs behind JSN. And Kupp is not the safest bet to stay healthy. So we do pass on Cooper Kupp at pick 82 for Darnell Mooney. And if we stick with that decision, it's because Cup does not stay healthy, does not pay off. And someone behind him steps up, that guy would be Torrey Horton. So that's the team. Those final three receivers are Coker, Adonai Mitchell, Torrey Horton, but not expecting them to contribute much. We need our high-end receivers to pay off. We need Godwin to really hit strong. That would be really ideal for this team. If they stay healthy, I like the team. If not, we just chucked $5, and that's usually what happens in these tournament settings. You're usually not winning money when you enter the tournaments. Your advance rate is only 16.5% to break even. So lastly, we'll talk about Albie's team one last time. He says it is meh again. Let's see. Come on. Here we go. All right. Burrow, Kyler, Richardson. I mean, on its face, that does sound very competitive. Running back, Bucky Irving, Montgomery, Garendo, Benson, and Dobbins. You took Shedeur Sanders. Is it another Sanders? That's the only Sanders I can think of. Bro. With Burrow, Murray, and Richardson, I don't know if Shedeur was the right pick. But running back, Miles Sanders in Dallas? Miles Sanders? That would make more sense. I was going to say, this team needs a running back. But receiver, I like the receiving core, man. Loaded at the top, high upside with Shaheed and Pierce. Two good deep threats. Tight end is thin. Warren and Okonkwo. I wish you had maybe a different tight end. That's all. But also Dobbins is super risky. Like, I would maybe swap out like a Marshawn Lloyd for J.K. Dobbins and then go, Jatavian Sanders. Okay, here we go. Jatavian Sanders. That's not bad. Okay. I'm thinking of every fucking Sanders other than Jatavian. But yeah, okay. With a third tight end, I like this team more. I don't think you need a receiver. I think your 7 are pretty good. Dobbins a little risky, but if he does, sign somewhere other than LA, then maybe it works out. I just don't really feel confident right now that'll be the case. So yeah, the only pick I would probably disagree with, knowing that the last one was Jatavian Sanders, is Dobbins. Otherwise, I think you got a shot. I'm not like the highest guy on Harrison, but I think where he's going, where you got him, it's justified. You made some good gambles. I think the team has a chance for sure, especially with a stacked Burrow. You probably have more chance than my previous team in the last draft. But that is going to be it, everyone. If you missed out on earlier in the video, just stick around. It'll be you head to my page. It'll be posted. But if you're new, if you enjoyed, hit the subscribe button, hit that like button if you've been watching, and I will see you next time. Thank you all so much. Enjoy your week. I'll be back on Wednesday. We get the schedule released on Wednesday. Very hyped for that. All right, bye-bye, everyone. Good luck in the future.